Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have a ton of great things to share with you. Some amazing comics, some new printings, and more guests than we've ever had on a single show and counting. Who knows? Maybe the show will be all guests. You'll have to tune in after this opener to find out. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and today we are talking about comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, September 15th. September, we're in the month of September. Monday is September 15th. So always fun when we're live, isn't it, Kyle?
I'm still trying to figure out how it got to be September 15th.
Yeah, it's time, man. It is always progressing. But for those of you guys who are following along at home, there are two major websites we recommend you guys check whenever you're doing your Final Order Cutoff lists for your local retailer. And those are prhcomics.com, which is a great one for Penguin Random House distributors. And it will cover all of your Marvel, your Dark Horse, your IDW, Boom Studios, Distillery, Ignition, and more. Going to prhcomics.com, you'll see a website like this. You'll scroll on down and see immediately FOC for September 15th. Make sure it's the right date, and you just click here, and you'll be brought to this wonderful website. We always recommend sorting by A to Z just to make life a little bit easier, and you'll see all those great books that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday. But if you're a fan of wonderful publishers like DC, Image, Oni, and more, you're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com, the distributor that handles that for the majority of North America. And Lunar Distribution, you just simply scroll on down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicking on the right date, September 15th, and you'll see some amazing books on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, including brilliant books like the new Oni publishing book, High Strangeness. And oddly enough, I think we have Mr. High Strangeness right now.
Whoa! Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me. Yes, I am Torma from Oni Press. You can tell from my name right here. High Strangeness is on FOC September 15th, this upcoming Monday. Mathias, thank you for having me. How's it going, dude?
Oh, it's always doing great. It is always better when we get to have you on the show.
Oh, stop, please. I'm just some bald goof that loves comic books. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm sitting in a local comic shop yesterday, just talking, and they're like, "Hey, Torma's coming." I'm like, "I'm not leaving." So
I need to see this man.
Right. I'm like, I'm gonna go hide and then surprise Torma, and then it went like my day was better because Torma was there.
Oh,
that is generally how Torma works.
Yeah, it's a condition doctors are still trying to figure out. Could be a pheromone. It could be the glare of my bald head shining in people's eyes, just hitting a right frequency. I don't know.
It's the beard dander.
It's the beard dander. That's what it is. It combines all the pizza and burgers that I eat. It's great.
There it is. So talk to us a little. Oh, go ahead. No.
Oh, you're fine. So High Strangeness. It's one we're really, really excited for at Oni. It's the latest from SpectreVision. It's essentially from Daniel Noah, real accounts of these phenomena known as high strangeness. The first book is a chilling encounter with the Men in Black. And if you've ever, been on the internet at 2 a.m. and you've seen the videos of these Men in Black or heard the stories of tall, lanky, like almost inhuman individuals with like no hair, questioning you about every minute little thing and having more info on you than you can possibly imagine, the uneasiness that comes with this. And Dave Chisholm does an amazing job of like conveying that. High Strangeness, number one, is just one part of this exploration into liminal spaces. It's creepy, it's eerie. It's the first time in a while I've read a comic that I've been like, that's made my skin crawl.
Yeah. Now, before we dive fully into High Strangeness, the people behind it, SpectreVision, there's some big names in this. Can you talk to us a little bit about SpectreVision and the relationship with Oni?
Absolutely. So Elijah Wood and Daniel Noah run like SpectreVision. Yeah, that Elijah Wood and that Daniel Noah. SpectreVision did Mandy. They did, the color. What is it? The High Color. Oh, what was that one? That Lovecraftian movie. They've done a ton of amazing, very A24, but even more kind of. If you took Trauma and A24, that's what I like to think of SpectreVision. But not as trauma-y as Trauma.
Which is weird because Elijah Wood did do some Trauma stuff.
Yeah, Elijah Wood has done that. But Elijah Wood is attached. It's
Color Out of Space.
What's
Color
that?
Out of Space. Color Out of Space.
That was it. I was trying to say like Purple Color of Space.
Yeah,
it was Nick Cage in that. That was really, really killer. Elijah Wood is attached to it. Daniel Noah, he's the one who's actually like experienced a lot of these like phenomenon and researched them. Each book also has like an actual exploration and essay by Jim Perry into the phenomenon, into the event. So this is all real stuff. I know they say like based on true stories and blah, 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 but this is the modern day equivalent of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s, like it's not as brutal, not as violent, obviously, but if you want a creepy, eerie sci-fi, High Strangeness is one that everybody who's read it has loved.
Well, and this is titled not issue one, but book one. And I would imagine it seems like a bit of a thick book too. So is that the case?
Yeah, each one is going to be, imagine it as like a episode of X-Files, right? They're all separate cases, but book two will build on the phenomenon of the Yeti, right? And like Sasquatch. And then as they build and build and build, book five is where you see everything come together. I like to think of it as like 5 fingers of like a hand, right? And that 5th finger is the thumb, I guess. It brings it all together. It evolves our perception.
I like it. And are they all going to be focused in this book on the Men in Black?
No, they're not all focused on the Men in Black. They're going to be focused on different paranormal high strangeness cases that all tie together at the end. I don't want to spoil too much, but you'll see how every little fold of this package and wrapping has a nice little bow at it with issue 5.
All right. And Daniel's co-writing this, right?
Yeah. Daniel's co-writing it with Chris Condon, who you might know from like Ultimate Wolverine, which has been in a killer book. Every shop that I've talked to has been selling gangbusters of that. It's Daniel's been there every step of the way. I mean, this is the stuff that like he's researched for years, he's experienced for years. It's something that he's really excited to kind of convey and get out there. It's a book that you don't want to miss.
Yeah. And like I've got to throw in, because I would be a bad friend if I didn't say my buddy Dave Chisholm on art.
Yeah. Well, you can see this cover right here. Like, I've never seen the Men in Black drawn in such a way where like it feels like they're piercing into my soul, And that's been like the experience a lot of people have said, where these men in black are not quite reading people's minds, but it feels like they're kind of prying into that other space, you know? I don't know. It's a book that, in a rare case, makes me feel a little different than any other comic I've read before.
So this isn't going to be the Men in Black that are simply the best of the best of the best, sir.
Yeah, no. It's not the Men in Black who are the best of the best of the best, sir. There's no catchy pop music or Tommy Lee Jones in this one. No, these Men in Black are. Are you familiar with any of the like Men in Black cases that have been reported and the footage that has been seen? Like, people have stories of men in like all black, obviously, no hair, very cold, almost robotic, like automatons, but are normally between like 6'5" and 7 feet tall.
Oh yes, I watch Jim Perry's podcast every now and then.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So yeah. Like, I don't know. It's chilling. It's eerie in the best way possible. It's a book that, I don't know, it's going to be a hand. You got the Jacques cover right there. Like, everybody loves Jacques. They could have Jacques art on a napkin and people would pick that up, But that cover A is one of the creepiest, eeriest, like, Jacques covers I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, in that Jacques cover, I think it's not just a traditional trade dress, that you guys have a couple different formats for that, right?
Oh, yeah. We have it on foil. We have it on the full art for cover D, the 1 in 25. Like, this cover right here. This is like what I've been calling like the Polaroid variants, right? Where it feels like an actual photo that's been like placed onto the cover of High Strangeness. It's these liminal spaces have reality in our world. It's not just a story made up for, comic books.
Yeah, just awesome. I believe that's Becca Carey doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, some amazing covers, and I mean, it definitely has a haunting feel. I am looking forward to being creeped out with.
Yeah, be creeped out, creep people out with it. Buy a copy, throw it at somebody, put it in somebody's mailbox to really freak them out, just a random person. Do whatever, buy it first, and then put it in somebody's mailbox.
Yeah. So obviously you want to reach out to your local comic shop and get your orders in before Monday on these, so you can do that. And if you're a retailer, there are special incentives you're going to want to look into, because maybe there is an opportunity for you to make it so you can creep somebody out by dropping a Men in Black book in their mailbox.
So good. Yes. And hit me up. If you don't have my number, it's 443-534-8327. That is my personal cell. I'm on Eastern Standard Time. Please text me. If you're a retailer, I can definitely hook you up.
I am waiting for the first 3 a.m. phone call to come through on this family man who does have a newborn child, because he has zero hesitation in giving his phone number out publicly on social media and live stream podcasts.
Just do it. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Kyle's giving me a call right now.
There it is.
Hey,
awesome.
You got to make the special effects happen, okay?
You got to. Here, I'll add it to my name right now.
I can't believe this. Only on Order Up. Wow.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. Again, this is my camera right here. This is it. Michael Torma, Oni Press, 443-534-8327. High Strangeness from Oni Press on FOC, September 15th. That's this Monday. Get to your local comic book shop over the weekend. Tell them Torma sent you. Hit me up. Send me a text. I'll send you something cool.
There you have it. I mean, name a publisher other than Oni that has a salesperson crazy enough to put their personal cell phone publicly like that. The only thing I think that's weirder is I once had the sales guy from Top Cow, Henry Barajas, give his social security number live at a WonderCon panel.
No. What? You can't get me that. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to that one for a little bit. You can have my cell, though. Give me a call whenever. If you have any comic book questions, even if they're not Oni related, text me. Hit me up, please.
I want to hear the story of the first phone call you get from this.
Yeah.
It was me, and it was a joke.
Yeah, it was Kyle, technically. But no, I've working in the shop for years. I used to work at Third Eye Comics, right?
Shop in Maryland?
Yeah, in shop in Maryland. I would give my number out to everybody like I do, and I would get texts and calls and this and that. There's a dude what's his name? Jake, that I met on a flight out to Portland one time, and he noticed that I was reading like some Oni stuff, and we talked about manga. And he still texts me to this day about like, oh, should I read this? Should I read that? Like, yeah, no joke. Text me, hit me up. If you're seeing this now, if in the future, I'm in the past, which is crazy. But yeah, 443-534-8327. So there you go.
All right. So High Strangeness on FOC this Monday. When's the release date on High Strangeness?
October 8th. October 8th, just in time for Halloween, just in time for spooky season. It's even before Halloween. You just put it on your shelf and creep people out for the whole month.
Yeah, I love it. All right. And that is going to be 5 issues.
Yep.
All right. Nothing but amazing. Nice and easy, pitch right there. Great way to start off our FOC discussions. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to hang out with us and talk Penguin Random House, or are you off to answer more phone calls?
I have like 15, 20 minutes if you guys would have me. I'd be down.
Well, let's pop on over to Penguin Random House after we've had that wonderful little setup with Lunar, and let's talk about some amazing titles that are on FOC this week.
I'm down to clown.
So, right off the bat, we have Amazing Spider-Man 14, which is going to introduce the Goblin Slayer. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, the Osborns, not the most beloved people in New York City in the Marvel Universe, but somebody's hunting them down.
Yeah.
And we're finally going to get a hint of who it is and whether or not Spider-Man should even bother protecting them. And I think the way that entices Kyle the most, have you been seeing the Muppet variants that have been coming out for the month of October?
Oh God, I haven't seen the. That's so good. No, they're that's sick. That's amazing.
Yeah,
was it Stotler and Waldorf?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Kyle, what infamous Fantastic Four issue is this homaging?
112.
112. Yeah, that infamous Thing versus the Hulk. It's impressive.
As I try to pull up an appropriate Stadler and Waldorf quote, like to put in this moment.
Yeah, I will say Joshua Cassara has been doing an amazing job with these. I mean, we've got 2 themes coming in October, 3 I think actually, because I think we have the White Tiger theme of variants at Marvel. You have the Muppets theme, as you're seeing here, but there's also Tron Ares theme, which just reminds me that we're that much closer to a new 9 Inch Nails album.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
it's getting closer and closer.
I wonder what life is like on another planet. Why? You don't care. You don't have life on this one.
Oh! Perfect.
There it is. We owe Disney some trademark money.
Hey, they canceled Muppet Vision at Disney at the parks, so I'm gonna quote them and I'm gonna hold it over their head until they bring it back. Anyway.
Order Up is the new Muppet Vision, is what we're saying.
Yeah, this is my podium, so I'm taking it.
Yeah. I got to say, I do love that Lee Bermejo cover, because any time we take a nod to Steve Ditko's infamous issue of Spider-Man lifting that wreckage off his shoulder, one of the greatest issues of Spider-Man ever done.
Yeah, that sequence is iconic.
Absolutely. But as always, there's a lot of great books that we'd love to talk about on FOC, often more than we have time. So check out prhcomics.com. Distilleries, The Big Burn, getting a hardcover. Take note of the direct market exclusive. It has extra content, but it also has an extra high price point. I will always love Blue Lock. But another one we got to talk about is Captain America, because Captain America, not only continuing the great run of Canadian Chip Zdarsky writing Captain America, nothing odd about that, but you have perhaps the greatest covers to fit the Muppets and Tron theme. Personally, I know that you're big on the Amazing Spider-Man one. I cannot get over how amazing this cover is. Perfect character.
Sam the Eagle? Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah.
I like you got Scooter in the background there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's everything about it, I mean, I love the Bucky. I love the Hydra. I mean, personally, I want to say, what is this homaging? Is this Jim Steranko?
Yep.
Yes.
Steranko.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So all sorts of fun there. So, I mean, well, there's a lot of great stories. I know that this is also an era where people are collecting covers. I mean, comic, that's affordable prints. That's affordable artwork that you can fit into a short box. So for people on that end of the collection, some amazing stuff we have to spotlight. But if you're, that Tron cover, I'm sure we'll be talking about that later. But if you are going for good story, I love the Hellboy universe. Are you a big Hellboy fan? I imagine you have to be, Torma.
Yeah, of course. Who isn't a Hellboy fan? Like, Mike Mignola could, I don't know, he could do a story about like Hellboy's toe, and I'm sure it would be an amazing Halloween one shot,
The Big Toe of Doom. Yes.
The Big Toe of Doom, exactly. Yeah. Overlooked a lot. Yeah. But no, I'm stoked for this. Mignola doing anything, is going to be fun, and Bruce Zick has that Mignola-esque style, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's perfect. I do love the Mignola cover that we get on this, but I mean, Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time is going to be a fun one because it's a Hellboy universe story without Hellboy. And I hate to say, I love those. I love Hellboy, don't get me wrong, but it's fun to get a wider universe. And I believe, is that Klaus right there on the cover?
Yeah, what is it? Klaus Johann?
Johann Klaus, yeah.
Yeah. That's him on the cover. Whenever we get like the Lobster or Lobster Johnson or Abe Sabian, give me any of that expanded Mignola-verse stuff, and it's different from other like expanded universe because Mignola has such a hand in all of it that it still feels very like Mike Mignola. It doesn't feel like, okay, here they gave this to 5 different people to kind of come together. Mignola is still spearheading a lot of it, right?
Yeah, it is awesome. So, I mean, I'm always excited. I think you're going to get good bang for your buck out of those, new series from Dark Horse. Of course, we have to talk about Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell, Charles Soule's masterpiece of an old man Daredevil story. If you haven't been reading this, now's your chance. The trade paperback, only $22 for a hardcover. I shouldn't say trade paperback. Hardcover for $22.
Yeah.
That is unheard of for Marvel.
That is a steal.
20 years ago, a Marvel hardcover was still $25. Yeah. $22 for one of the hottest Marvel miniseries right now.
God, yeah, the sequence with like Frank is insane in that.
Yeah. A lot of wonderful second printings, such as Doom 2099. The general theme is always going to be that foil cover that you loved. No longer foil on the second printing for Marvel. And then the cover you wanted the most, now 1 in 25. So a lot of fun ones on there.
Oh, Godzilla destroying the Marvel Universe. Been
Absolutely. I mean, I've personally been a big fan of the covers that have Godzilla taking on a Avengers-esque character. So Godzilla Wolverine.
Yeah.
Awesome. David Watcher's been doing an amazing job on that. I think he just did Godzilla as Iron Man. He did Godzilla as Venom.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Giant radioactive lizard versus the Marvel Universe. I mean, it's bonkers. It's wacky. When you have Thor bringing in Fin Fang Foom to fight Godzilla and he just gets trounced, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I will always be Toho Godzilla over Legendary Godzilla, but if we could get Legendary and Disney together to make an Avengers versus Godzilla movie, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I'd go see that. I'd pay top dollar for that.
I always feel that's the big problem with the Legendary films is they focus more on the characters than Godzilla. I'd be all right with that with Avengers.
Yeah. If you had the Avengers in there, I'd be down. Yeah. And of course the Hulk. Hulk Godzilla. Yeah. 2 of my favorite characters punching each other.
Hey, real fast, because you scrolled past it. I wanted to mention Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon.
Yeah, of course. Matt Fraction, the writer of Batman right now, the high-selling, in fact, sold-out Batman #1. Talk up that beauty that led to a great a great Disney Plus series.
Well, I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about the format, which is the Marvel Premiere Collection.
Yeah.
I started picking up my first few from this format, and I really do like them because like the solicitation on this thing says the perfect entry point to the Marvel Universe anytime, anywhere. They're a little smaller, but they're hardcover. They're a little different size, but you get all the variant covers. You get sketch books, you get get sketchbook content, you get cover concepts, page process, all this kind of stuff for David Aja's art. But you get the collection of that Matt Fraction Hawkeye from 2012, plus the Young Avengers Presents #6, the introduction of Kate Bishop. So for 280 pages for $15, this is one of those things that, again, so you could pick it up and you can give it away, sort of level, right? Where you can let somebody jump into to Hawkeye without having to spend a whole lot of money, and at the same time, you get some of the best Hawkeye story there is.
And well, they're not as cheap as DC and Oni's incredible compact editions at $9.99. I got you there, Torma.
Yep.
I will say that I think at $15, you're getting the most amount of content of these smaller trade paperbacks. I will give Marvel credit on that. They're thick
boys,
but yeah, fun stuff. And perfect chance to point out, like, doesn't Oni have a small compact trade paperback on FOC this Monday involving two scientific masters?
Yeah, why, yes, we do. Thank you so much for remembering. Yes, we have our Rick and Morty compact size hitting FOC as well this Monday. The compact sizes have been doing great. The Adventure Time ones are super awesome at $9.99. Everybody's been loving the DC ones. And now you can get Rick and Morty, and you can get all the essential, like, crazy Rick and Morty stories, your Pickle Rick, your Rick and Jerry adventure episodes, all in the form of a tiny little compact that you can fit in your pocket, fit it in someone else's pocket, put it somewhere where, put it in a library somewhere, give it to somebody. Who cares? Who knows? Cut Torma loose. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going crazy, going ham. Oh, there we go. Yeah. The Unkillable Collection. Yeah, it's Rick and Morty. It's super fun. Everybody loves Rick and Morty. We love saying "wubba lubba dub dub." We loved the Szechuan sauce at McDonald's. Everybody has a Columbus in there.
Just hit HBO Max too. I'm finally able to watch it.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, the latest season has been phenomenal. I need to get my Plumbus out and make sure my room is clean. But I actually have a bit of a other arrangement that I need to hit up. So thank you for having me, but I have to portal my way out of here. Kyle, can you set it up where a portal like takes me out of here and I just like do the effect live right now? Can you do that?
All I can do is this.
Thank you so much for joining us, Torma. As always, I do love these, compact editions. I love that they are in the exact same format as the DC ones. So at least in my shop, I get to place these directly next to the DC ones, confuse everyone. But it is amazing. So as we just lost Torma, though, we have another guest, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I think we take a quick commercial break and then we'll return with him.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's do it.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. Could be doing anything. The fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
p.m. sharp.
Well, that was a big build-up. Thank you very much, Mathias. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today, Liam?
Good. Yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome.
As you know, I'm just back from the Portland con, so I'm fighting a bit of jet lag. So I'll try to be as succinct as I can.
I love it because, I mean, now that you are back out of the country, you still seem to be visiting for a fair amount of conventions.
Well, the thing is, it's not just that a big part of the audience is out there, but we lived there for 12 years and it really was home. We became citizens and everything. So we have a lot of friends there. And the nice thing about coming over and being able to go to the conventions is that we get to go and see everybody that we know as well. So it's, it's a kind of double bonus, really. I can't, you've got to make the most of it, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And I mean, you truly are a man of both sides of the pond, not only in life, but in comics. You have comics coming out from both England's Titan as well as America's McFarlane Productions in just the next few months.
It's true. The shelves haven't had much of my stuff on in the last year or so because I've been working on some sort of pretty big projects that have all got a nice backlog. So they're all going to come out in succession, and there should be plenty of my stuff around for the next few months, certainly after October anyway.
Absolutely. So let's start with the first one. On FOC this Monday, September 15th, is going to be Spawn: The Dark Ages. Now, you are no rookie to the character of Spawn, as you did the first 14 issues of the original Spawn Dark Age. What led you to come back and be the entire creative team for this new launch?
Well, it was really because another job fell through, and I was sort of kicking around. It was a little bit urgent. It was one of those things where it had been planned for a long time, and then it just died with about 3 weeks to go, and it was a bit of a panic. And like out of the blue, it just popped in my head. I thought, hang on a sec, all these Spawn books are coming out. I wonder if anyone's doing the Dark Ages. So I just reached out to Todd, and he was completely up for it. And this is a very different version too. This is going right back to the 5th century. It's not the same Lord Covenant story or characters or anything. Really, the last series was getting pretty close to slipping into medieval territories. And I thought, actually, if you're going to do Dark Ages from scratch, it'd be really nice to take it right back to the very, very beginning of the Dark Ages. And then you can take it from there, depending on what the reception's like and how well it goes over. So I do have a bunch of ideas in my head for further stories beyond the 6 issues. But we're just going to put this one out and see what people think. It is a very different beast to the last series, but it's it's still a barbarian spawn, pretty much, Celtic gods and post-Roman occupied Britain being sort of hounded by the Picts in the top, and the Hibernians, who become the Irish, coming in from the west, and from the east you've got the Saxons invading. So it's really about that, this sort of balance of power between Christians that have taken over Britain, the old Celts, of which our Spawn is part of, and how they come together to sort of fight off the bigger threat to the islands. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do. It's really a big melodrama.
Well, I'm sure people will be excited. I know that over the past year, the original Dark Ages trade paperback, which is now an omnibus, has been selling like gangbusters. But since we're going back several centuries prior to Lord Covenant, our original protagonist, can you tell us a little bit about who is wielding the Spawn costume / soul chaining devilish-like abilities?
Well, this one, the idea was that it would be a real jump in kind of a comic. So it doesn't matter if you've never read another Spawn comic before. It almost exists in its own universe. And the Spawn character is almost a kind of creature with no name. You don't, at this point or in the first 6 issues, get to know anything about his origin. It's hinted that it goes back even way further before this story begins, and he has a druidess who takes care of him and seems to know a little bit more about him than he knows about himself. And his origin seems to be sort of lost in a fog of memory that even he's unsure about. But he represents the dying old gods, the Canunus and all the Celtic gods that have been forgotten and being driven out by the occupying Christians and Romans. But there are still people under the King Aurelianus who have have empathy for him. But you know, I've taken a whole bunch of stuff. Aurelianus historically was one of the potential templates for Arthur, and there's a Spawn in this is pretty much Lord of the Wild Hunt. He's got they call him Earl King Yulegrave in the story. So you know, there's a lot of tension between these two worlds. As well as all the threats coming in from everywhere else that I mentioned earlier. So it's really about how they come together, the King and Spawn, and whether they can continue to work together and actually find a way to bring peace between these two factions that are sort of threatening to pull the whole country apart. And there's a love story in it as well, of course. There has to be.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of concepts we traditionally don't get to hear about in Spawn, though I think there is obviously a fair amount of what we all love when we get to see these historical moments in previous Spawns. Is there going to be a fair amount of violence, though, still?
Oh, we've got battles and fights, absolutely. You know, they move all over the country. We start with a battle with Aurelianus. Does a flashback to him fighting off the Saxons, you know, and we get to see a sense of how good he is as a king and as a general, but also what his worries are and why he needs Spawn to be on his side. And that's an ordeal all in itself, because Spawn is living in the ruins of Londinium, which has been deserted and has all become overgrown. It's funny because when I was researching this, I'd written this thing about Dark Earth, and it turns out that there was a period where it was abandoned, and because of all the matter of like, well, basic city life, you know, of all the mess that humans make, after the desertion of it, the trees grew at an enormous rate, almost sort of 3 or 4 times bigger than they would normally have been. So it did get covered in a forest very quickly, and I love that idea that he's sort of haunting these ruins of London, and Aurelianus has to go and appease him and appear before him and you know, risk his own neck in the process, and that's really what the first issue is about.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of research. When you originally did Spawn, the Dark Ages back in the 90s, you had a writer in the way of Brian. This time you were writing and drawing everything, which seems to be a bit of a theme with a lot of your comics lately. How does that change your approach when you're doing the comic, both from scripting through finalized art?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is I've always wanted to write, and I've always have written, and I've written, you know, I've got a number of novels out, and increasingly over the last few years I've been writing as much of my own stuff as I can. It's just, you know, it's taken a long time to get people to trust me with the quill as well as the brush, you know, but I'm delighted that people are. And it's funny because I do, to answer your question, I do sort of put on 2 different hats, and I try to write the scripts so that I'm not being easy on myself. You know, it's I will write the script as if it's for somebody else entirely, and then when I look at it, I'm often like, who is this guy that's given me this stuff to draw? What do you mean I've got to draw, 100 men having a battle outside of Londinium or amongst the ruins and everything? It's so yeah, no, I don't go easy on myself, and I don't cut any corners. And really, what I'm writing to, although I do think I'm a visual writer, which you'd imagine to be the case given what I mostly do, what I mostly have done over the decades. I still am very sort of enamored by words. So there's actually a glossary in this comic, because I have looked at a lot of the like Celtic words, and there's in some of it there's Pictish, Northern Scottish Celtic words, and more general stuff as well. I just wanted to give it a sense of place, and it's not strictly Shakespearean, but it's kind of got a bit of that vibe. When I was talking to Thomas, the editor, about it, I liked the idea of, thinking back to those old Thor books when they had this kind of lilting Shakespearean kind of quality to them, and it did gift that kind of realm a little bit of a sense of antiquity, even if it was slightly cheesy and a cod kind of faux Shakespeare. It was still something that was something I liked anyway. So I hope people embrace that and go with it and enjoy it, and appreciate that it's a script that I actually labored over quite a lot. I worked really hard on the script, so I'm as proud of that as I am anything I've drawn in the book. Like I say, it's a big old melodrama, so it goes off in all sorts of different directions. I can't wait to get it out. I can't wait to see it. Actually, it's been a long time coming, because I finished it over a year ago, so yeah, it's exciting that it's going to finally be on the shelf.
That's awesome. 6 issues, with the first issue releasing on October 8th. This is going to be a great one. But that's not the only thing you have coming out this fall. You are returning for your second Conan story on Savage Sword of Conan number 11, which releases this November. Can you tell us a little bit about this new epic?
Yeah, what I did do was a cover for the Mordipus RPG Conan book, which was fairly widely online. You can find it fairly easily, because it was shared around a fair bit, and that was a painting for the cover. But it has, as you know, been a character I've been wanting to do for my entire career. The first story was the little 12-pager that was in issue 8, which is relevant only in that I'm working on a third story for next year, which ties into the first one. But the one you just mentioned is actually something I pitched about 26 years ago. And again, it's one of those ones that I thought was going to happen. It all looked very good, and then for reasons beyond my control, it fell through at the last minute. So it's sort of been a bit of a bee in my bonnet for a long time that I really wanted to do this story. And although, all these years on, I think I'm a better writer, so there was a lot of revision, and there was a ton of holes in the first draft. It still had qualities that I was intrigued by, and when I wrote that first one too, it was like very much things that I loved about Conan and about specific artists, about Buscema and Barry Windsor Smith. So it had, and there was always a scene in there that was going to be a treasure hoard that I could do in a sort of very ornate Barry Smith inspired style, with an awful lot of detail. And I say Barry Smith, I would have to include Michael Kaluta in that too, because since the book, The Studio, some of the beautiful pictures in there of barbarians that Kaluta did definitely inspired some of this story. But there's a little bit of Buscema, there's a little bit of Barry Smith. There's kind of all my heroes. There's some Frazetta. All of the things that are very patently and clearly in my work. We all have DNA from the greats that came before us, and I'm standing on the shoulder of giants and attempting to honor the work that they did and to sort of bring a little bit of that old school detailed inking approach to storytelling back in these stories I'm doing. And it's been, I'm still pinching myself every day. It's just like, it's fantastic. I sort of wake up and like, what am I doing today? Oh yeah, only the book I've been dreaming of doing since I was 12 years old. So it's a delight, to be honest. I'm a very happy boy, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. I mean, I know fans are obviously going crazy because you've been hinting at artwork on this on social media for a while, and it is some of the best Conan artwork I have ever seen.
Well, thank you.
So this is definitely an exciting one. So Savage Sword of Conan number 11 will be on Final Order Cutoff September 29th with that release date of November 5th. And then we know next year there will be even more Conan from you, which is exciting. But I want to talk about something completely different now. You have also been writing and drawing other things, including your own creator-owned series at Image that is currently available in comic shops right now. And if it's not at your local comic shop, you can ask them to order either the hardcover collected edition or a Starhenge graphic novel. But let's talk a little bit about Starhenge.
Well, it all sort of ties into the same stuff in lots of ways, because it really is based on my deep and abiding love of old British myths and Celtic myths. And that started because when I was at school, I studied classical civilizations, and the thing with that, it always seemed to be Roman and Greek mythology. And there was a point where I just thought, hang on a second, we live in England, we have this rich mythology too, and yet we're not taught it. Why don't I know more about it, and where can you find out about it? And I started reading quite voraciously the materials around that stuff. So there was a particular book by Nikolai Tolstoy called The Quest for Merlin, which sort of postulated the whole thing about Conan being a Celtic god, that the Christians had come over and basically said, you're worshipping the devil, this horned god is the devil, and you need to turn away from him. And the premise of the book was Merlin a real person? And if so, where did he live, and what was his actual story? And that was I even went on a road trip back when I was, I'm going to say around 19, with my best mate. And we followed the path that Nikolai Tolstoy had taken around the country and off out to Wales and up into the north and just south of Scotland and all over the place, looking at these various sites and getting kicked off farms by farmers with shotguns because we were wandering across fields, looking for these ancient sites and getting told that there was no burial grounds on that land. Anyway, ridiculous as it was, it sort of was very much rooted in me, and it's not really gone away, and that led to reading about obviously Thomas Malory, the very famous, the most famous versions of King Arthur. But Geoffrey of Monmouth is the first, and his version of Arthur, which really blew my mind. If you can bear with me on this, because it's this this really kind of excites me. So I'm not sure how many, if you know that the Aeneid was a version of the Odyssey that was written by Virgil. And he wrote it for Augustus as a piece of propaganda, really, to tie Augustus to the gods. So Aeneas goes and founds Rome. It's basically the same story as Odysseus, but at the end of the story, he founds Rome. He's a descendant. He's a half god himself. Therefore, Augustus is a god. Aeneas's son, Brutus, then comes to England and founds all the kings of Britain, thereby saying that all of the British kings are descendant from the Roman gods as well, even though it was written by a Christian priest. So basically, it's funny how, you know, it's another piece of propaganda for the wealthy people of Britain at the time. And this is what Geoffrey of Monmouth's doing. And therefore, when he gets to Arthur and Uther and all of that, and Arthur becomes king, he goes on this mad, very much like Hannibal kind of conquering frenzy. And he goes up to Iceland and conquers it, conquers Ireland. He gets over to Europe. He goes all the way across Europe, gets to the foot of the basically the mountains on the way to Rome. He gets literally the same as Hannibal, and it's only then that he's called back to Britain. The idea was that he was going to claim Rome as the emperor himself, because he was a descendant of the Roman gods. And I love that, because that's a version of Arthur that you never hear. So part of me was wanting to tell this story about Merlin, and the other part of me was wanting to tell some of the Arthur story. But then I also liked the idea of the T.H. White suggestion that Merlin was born in the future and dies in the past. So that became a kind of like, okay, how do you tie that into the story? And then the whole bigger concept was like, okay, what if magic was an actual real thing in the 5th century, and over the years it's died out, and why is it dying out, and what is the threat of magic? And it turns out that there's a kind of AI threat, you know, pretty much Terminators in the future that the only thing they can't fight is magic. So their deal is they have to get rid of magic, and that means going back through time and finding the source of magic, which actually turns out to have all been Earth in the whole universe. That is the one place, you know. It's almost taking the Grail concept and saying that Earth is really the Grail. So yeah, not a small story, and yeah, it was kind of terrifying when I started doing it, because I was like, oh my God, what have I done? You know, this is my first solo image book, and I've taken this project, probably the biggest, most complicated thing I've ever attempted to write. So I had to try and boil it down. I have seen reviews that say, oh, it's not as clever as it thinks it is. But some people, you know, can't please everybody. But that I would take that as like, that then I did my job, because I simplified it enough that it makes some sense and isn't just like completely too dense to follow. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It was a chance also to use different storytelling techniques. I kind of did a reverse Wizard of Oz with black and white around the main character, Amber Weaver, because she's suffering from she's had a massive and devastating loss in her life. So the world's become sort of very black and white to her. And as the magic comes into her life, the colors come back into her life. But she's also an artist. So when we see it from her perspective, because she's the voice for the story, we sometimes see it in comic form, because she's a comic appreciator. You know, some of the pictures in the book are drawn by her. Some of them are imagined by her as if they were a comic. So then I get to do this kind of lovely little retro bit and draw some traditional old school comics in the middle of it. So yeah, it's my magnum opus really, and I'm delighted that it's being offered again in the deluxe format, along with its immediate follow-up, which is a 60-page sci-fi story that tags right onto the end of Starhenge. And hopefully,
one of the best bangs for your buck, you know, in that it's $8 for 60 pages right there, full graphic novella.
I was I was pretty pleased with it. I mean, I love jumping back into that world. So whenever I get a chance to get back into the Stonehenge universe, it's a universe that I particularly love to play, and it's just a great sandbox for me, you know. And it's so rich. I could draw it for the rest of my life if there was that kind of demand for it. But honestly, I'm still loving the Conan too. So got to make a bit of time for both.
Absolutely. Well, really quick, for those who have not yet had the chance to dive into the universe of Stonehenge, what is the quick pitch? If somebody was looking right now at the graphic novel section and saw the first volume of The Dragon and the Boar, what is the quick sell that will make them grab it right now and bring it up to the register?
That's the thing I'm most, I'm worst at. How do I break it? How do I boil it down? Basically, magic is dying. The Merlins of the future have to go to the past to find out why, and they are being chased by Terminator-like more dreadnoughts that are intent on killing everything magical and wiping it out from the universe. And along the way, they will bump into King Arthur and various other people from those stories, including Taliesin. And we get to hear a few old, good classic tales with a new spin. So that's the fun.
I love it. And you can grab Stonehenge, the deluxe edition hardcover, at your local comic shop right now. If for any reason they don't have it, it's available to order through Lunar, along with the graphic novella or a Stonehenge graphic novella, which is absolutely amazing as well. So, I mean, just a bevy of incredible Liam Sharp projects coming up this fall or already on shelves. Spawn the Dark Ages, once again, hitting October 8th. And your return to Conan with Savage Sword of Conan number 11, November 5th. Before we leave, where can people find you so they can discover when the next big Liam Sharp project is coming out?
I do have I've got my Facebook page. I've got a Blue Sky account. I'm on Instagram, and I have a newsletter that's on Substack. So all of those places, called The Brave and the Bold, my newsletter. That's probably the best thing to sign up for, honestly. I give lots of people sneak peeks, and there's chapters from my novels, and there's even music from old bands I was in. And, it's really, for me, a scrapbook of all the things I've sort of done in 40, well, next year it will be 40 years. So it's a big year for me, of 40 years in the industry. And going all the way back to when I started out with Don Lawrence, who, if you've not heard of him, he was made a Sir just after he died, but he was a sort of legendary English artist that was mostly known in Holland. Absolutely astonishing artist and a huge inspiration to me. And he was my mentor right at the beginning of my career. And yeah, there's just a lot of stuff on there. So I would say that's the best thing. That's the best place to find me, honestly. I think as well with the way the internet's going these days, it's very hard to sort of rise above the noise sometimes. So I think that's your best way to get updates of my information if you are so inclined. And it's free too, unless you choose to pay, which is always welcome, of course.
Awesome. So track down Liam Sharp's incredible Substack, get to see preview pages of Conan before it releases, and make sure you go to your local comic shop, get your orders in before final order cutoff this Monday for Spawn the Dark Ages and the upcoming Savage Sword of Conan number 11, and maybe grab Stonehenge while you're doing it. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Liam. We're going to do a quick commercial break, and we will be back with more comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, September 15th.
Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
All right. Man, it is always a pleasure interviewing Liam. And just for anybody who might have missed it, his Substack is liamsharp.substack.com. One thing I do have to say, always the fun of doing those interviews is while we were doing that, the FOC date on Spawn Dark Ages changed. A reminder that when we're doing the show live, we're doing it as late as or as early as possible to get you guys enough time to get your orders to your comic shop well ahead of FOC date on Mondays. But things are changing up through Friday mornings. So Spawn Dark Ages #1 just changed its FOC date to October 13th, putting its in-store date on November 5th, right alongside the Savage Sword of Conan #11. So you can have an ultra Liam Sharp day with both those releases November 5th, but you have more than enough time now to reach out to your local comic shop and let them know you want Spawn Dark Ages with the new FOC date of October 13th. So with that said, let's dive back into the rest of Penguin Random House's incredible offerings. Obviously, I want to point out Imperial War getting second printings of Black Panther and Planet She-Hulk, because if you're not reading Imperial War, you're missing out on one of the biggest cosmic events of Marvel's incredible universe. Have to talk about Incredible Hulk #30, because it has two incredible homage covers, both homaging Incredible Hulk #1. You have the Tron Ares cover by Ben Sue, which I love right there. But as I know Kyle will love it, there's the Chrissy Zulo Muppets with Beaker and his incredible professor friend. Like, I love that idea. It just makes me want to go meep.
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. Oh, that's what brings Kyle.
Write it on your hand. I've told you 3 times this morning. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
He has. He's been on me on that. You know what? There is not a bigger fan of Muppets, I think, than Kyle.
There is one, but only because he worked for them. It's Jay Fosgate.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, Jay's awesome. Jay, oddly enough, he'll have a comic on FOC soon in the way of I Hate Fairyland. Yeah, fun stuff. Just like these amazing covers and comics. Another one I'm excited about, Cavan Scott, fresh off of his run of Gwenpool, is going to be taking over one of the Age of Revelation books, Iron Frost. Now, Iron Frost, like many of the Age of Revelations, is going to replace a book. This will replace the Iron Man, Emma Frost, relationship that we were having with Gary Dugan and Amy Chu's awesome Emma Frost series. And this is going to be set X years in the future. They love their X's over at Marvel and the X-Men books. X years in the future, something tragic has happened to break up the relationship and all that was held important to Emma Frost and Tony Stark. And now Emma is back, and there is a new queen of the Hellfire Club. I'm excited about this. I always enjoy Cavan's writing. I love these covers. You can see the Rod Reyes and Yasmin Putri of the various characters holding the heart of the other, whether it's the diamond heart of Emma in the case of Rod Reyes' cover, or that ruby-esque power converter, you would say, of Tony Stark right there. Awesome stuff there. Then for you Boom fans, although we'll be talking about Lone Wolf and Cub later, don't think I'll ever skip out on some little Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima. But for you Boom fans, Power Ranger fans, we have a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Halloween special. And this is awesome. It's going to be a collection of great stories, helmed at first by Sina Grace, who is an amazing writer, a very, very talented editor, and a brilliant artist. I love Sina Grace. But you're also going to get a Power Rangers star in the way of Megan Camarena. And Megan is also the writer of, I want to say, Radiant Black and Radiant Pink. Let me see. Radiant Pink and Radiant Black, yes. So she knows a little bit about Sentai comics and TV shows and is a Power Ranger herself. So that will make this a really fun book to grab. Also going to the Age of Revelation is the brand new one taking over the Storm comic series. It's Rogue Storm #1. Might be a shock to some of you. Rogue is going to be in this book alongside Storm. Cover doesn't always give it away, nor does the title. But this will be a fun one for those of you guys missing out. And another time, I always want to emphasize this. please let your local comic shop know what books you're going to want on Age of Revelation, as these are a lot of books that will be temporarily replacing from October through February the traditional Marvel X titles with these Age of Revelation titles set in this dark, plausible future of the Age of Revelation. So if you want to hop on a series you might not already be on, let your local comic retailer know. If you are continuing on from Storm to Rogue Storm, let your local retailer know. If you want to take a pause, always a good one. Because I can tell you, Kyle's been saying it for weeks. This was a very unique choice from Marvel. Man, Kyle is getting the bang for his buck out of that sound effect with Age of Revelation.
I ordered exactly 0.
So we're gonna upset Kyle one last time with one more Age of Revelation piece, the Sinister Six. This one has me excited because, well, I love David Marquez's art on the X books and everything. He is proving himself to be a super talented writer. If you have not read Unchosen, the final issue written by David Marquez and drawn by David Marquez, we'll be talking about a little bit later on FOC. But David is going to be writing an X book this time in Sinister Six. And this is an interesting array of characters, from Havoc to Omega Red, Venom, obviously Mr. Sinister. But the one that got me for a while, I thought this young figure right there was going to be one of the Starjammers. Nope, it's Black Cat. And as I scroll down through all of these amazing covers and comics on FOC to get us to Sinister Six, I want to point out that it is revealed once I go back, because I don't know how often this works.
Right there, you go.
Yeah, you can see the Riki Agawa Black Cat cover as well as this transformation that Felicia Hardy is going to have a hell of an X years later. But I don't know. I mean, I think we have some talented creative teams. And, well, once again, I can agree with Kyle in that Marvel didn't present this in the best way to make this easy on consumers or retailers. I think we could have some fun comics in this. And David Marquez, brilliant artist, brilliant writer. I want more from him.
I also have strong thoughts about changing Felicia Hardy.
I personally have a very shared opinion with you on there, but I truly trust David Marquez. I think I'm going to give it a shot. We also have a lot of Sonic coming out this week, or on FOC this week for October release. The 30th anniversary of Chaotix, getting a really cool series of covers and character tales. Star Trek, continuing on with the Voyager. Not my Star Trek, but I know a lot of people think it's one of the greater Star Treks. I'll always be a next-gen Deep Space Nine guy. Legacy of Vader continuing. Speaking of Vader, Revenge of the Sith, the Foundation of Vader. Definitely a beautiful anniversary deluxe edition of that classic novel adapting the third prequel film by Matthew Stover. Getting you all ready for the upcoming Stranger Things season. We have Stranger Things, Tales from Hawkins. A lot of brilliant books there. Second printings for Thor, #1. A lot of people misnomering this as Mortal Thor. It's just Thor. Don't worry about it. Ton of great manga on FOC this week. A lot of great Marvel second printings. So make sure you go over prhcomics.com. Look through all of this. Let your local comic shop know what it is you want to have ordered for you so they can have it waiting for you upon release. But I think it's time we hop on over to Lunar Distribution again. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
do it.
I was just going to say real fast. This is, you guys know, you may have noticed, I don't know if you've noticed or not, this was a lighter PRH week than a lot of times for Mathias and I in terms of what we talk about. We were talking about it before the show. It's clear that September and October are 5-week months, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of time in these months. So weeks like this where you have a little bit smaller from a distributor, maybe you have a little bit smaller from publishers you normally buy, this is a good week to order some manga, order some graphic novels, order some of that stuff that you're like, I've been meaning to try that thing and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because I've been picking up 95 different X-Men books and now they're revelationing them, which is dumb as heck, but I still got to buy them. Well, there's only 2 this week. So maybe jump on something like You Can't All Live on Your Own, or some of the great manga that's out this week, or that's on order this week. It's just worth maybe giving it a try.
Absolutely. It's also a perfect time to take advantage of something unique to your local comic shop, because other websites and concepts and big box stores exist. Your local comic shop is filled with a bunch of fans of comics, because let's face it, we wouldn't be doing the comic book business if we didn't love this medium. So perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop staff members, managers, or owners and say, hey, what should I be reading? Maybe go grab an awesome back issue or a trade paperback you might have missed out on. Maybe test the knowledge or skills or love of this hobby that your local comic shop retailer, owner, staff member, or just fellow customer has, and see what they recommend to read, because we all do better when we enjoy more amazing reading.
One of my other favorite things to do on a week like this and a month like this is to check out most shops have a local homies section or a local creators section, or, where they have the zines and things that are published by the people who come into the shop. Give one of them a try. You never know when the next one is going to be E.M. Gist or, in my case, Dirk Manning.
There you go. Both big names. All right. Let's pop on over to Lunar, though, and see some big names and big books, as well as some small books. We're going to start off with Absolute Batman 13. Look.
You mean the big books on that Catwoman cover by David Nakayama?
Yeah. True. But yeah, we've been seeing Selena Kyle as a young girl in the Absolute Batman storyline since the first volume with the Zoo. Her character is very interesting, and now we get to see her finally introduced as Catwoman. I think somebody told me there was a cameo in Absolute Batman number 12. I haven't had a chance to sit down and read it yet. But Absolute Batman number 13, unquestionable first full appearance of Catwoman in the Absolute universe. A ton of beautiful covers, all very focused on our cat burglar, Absolute. I am excited about this. I know that I'm probably going to be getting most of these covers. I might even double up on the art germ and get the foil and the non-foil. But the blanks, I'm going to get some Absolute Catwoman sketches. Also, if you've missed out on Absolute Green Lantern, my favorite of the Wave 2 Absolute. Look, Absolute Wonder Woman, absolute height of the first Trinity. But when it comes to Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Green Lantern, I got to give it to Green Lantern. Absolute Green Lantern is my favorite. So grab the trade or hardcover. The trade of the Trinity sold out. I think the hardcovers are still available, and I'm certain they're rushing back to print the trades. But definitely the reason to let your local comic shop know that you want the absolute trades for Green Lantern or Flash or Martian Manhunter, because those things are flying. Action Comics wrapping up Mark Waid's opening storyline, as Superman has to make a very hard choice to protect the life or not of a fellow hero. All Negro Comics, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. I am beyond excited about this. It is Eisner Award winning for a reason. Wonderful continuing titles such as Aquaman, Archie, always getting more. Batman, as we said, Matt Fraction's Batman sold out like gangbusters. I had no expectations that this was going to outsell Jim Lee's and Jeff Loeb's Hush 2, but it did for me. I'm excited about a second printing on this. Jorge Jimenez doing amazing, so I love that we got that. But then having a Dan Mora, the most prolific artist in the industry, getting in a cover in there, because clearly he wasn't doing enough. But great cover options there. Also, always fun that Jorge Jimenez points out something. Batman, who would have guessed? White socks. White socks. Not what I would have figured Bruce would have chosen.
Well, I would. You know how hard it is to find good, thick socks that are high enough to keep the bat boots from chafing on your calves?
I hate to say, I've never applied the thought on that.
Yeah. The Dickies brand makes a real nice product.
Coming from a man who knows how to wear those bat boots. All Speaking of Batman, if you're a fan of the Batman and Robin animated series, we finally get a collection of that in a very affordable trade paperback, as well as Batman and Robin continuing on from Philip Kennedy Johnson, upcoming guest of the show. Penultimate issue of Dark Patterns, continuing on with Gotham by Gaslight, and the penultimate issue of Long Halloween, the last Halloween. A lot coming from the Batman world. We have the wrap up of Arc 1 for Blood and Thunder. So many things. And Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt. Jimmy did such a great job on that first issue. I am excited about this. And then, of course, with Jimmy doing writing, of course, he has his beloved significant other doing a cover for Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt on the B cover. I mean, did you get a chance to read Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt yet, Kyle?
Mama always said if you can't say something nice, don't say something at all.
There you go. But there's some beautiful, beautiful covers.
The covers were great. This is one of those that Nick was like, "Hey, we're gonna do Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt," and I'm like, "Who are they?" This is a nostalgia that is not my nostalgia. It's something I missed. Like, it wasn't part of my coming up, so I didn't. You know what I mean? It didn't grab me the same way Gargoyles or Thundercats or some of those others did. So
you a beloved young man.
The review I got last night on the Geek Chat here on The Experience has incentivized me to go grab a number 1, but it's not something I purchased, so I have not yet read it.
Well, there you go. And I mean, as always, if you guys are watching the EXP, there's a lot of great chats like the Geek Chat and Minute to Skim It with the incredible Miss Jen that will go over and give you these updates on these books. So things that you might not have ordered, that you might have missed out on, that could sound intriguing. They're a great way to get a heads up on what you should be reading.
Well, it's really funny. On the Geek Chat last night, they reviewed 5 books that we have had the writers of those books or the creators of those books on this show. So it turns into a really good, hey, that guy was on FOC. 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 So, it all works well together. I don't plan these things without thinking about them, okay?
Synergy.
I hate that word. Don't ever say it again. I'm going to go throw up.
So, Court, the Children of the Round Table number 2. Oh, speaking of people we interviewed, obviously we had the great Tom Taylor recently on the show. I hope everyone got Court number 1 and read it, because I really feel this book is for everyone. You can be 6 years old. You can be 60 years old. Boy, girl, anyone. Doesn't matter. You can be American, Australian, Chinese, or Brazilian. You will love this book. It is amazing. Did you get a chance to read Court number 2 yet?
Seeing as how number 1 just came out, no.
Did you get a chance to read Court number 1 yet?
Yeah, I did read Court number 1.
And if you loved Court number 1, I'm going to tell you, Court number 2 is even better. Even better. As somebody who has had a chance to read it, it just gets more and more amazing. This is the must-read, all-ages books that everyone's going to want. Another big one I got to talk up. Obviously, we just had the incredible Liam Sharp, who's doing some upcoming Conan. So I have to acknowledge Jim Zub's masterful main Conan series, Conan the Barbarian. Issue 25, the anniversary issue, the extra spectacular 25th issue, is on FOC this Monday. Ton of great covers. It is a standalone story. So it is perfect for anyone who's been interested in Conan and hasn't happened yet. This is going to be an extra thick, massive, must-have Conan book. Some brilliant covers on there. Personally, I think this Alex Horley wraparound is amazing because not only is it beautiful, you get to know that's what the interior looks like. This is one of those rare times when you can judge a book by the cover, which is decreasing in this modern industry of comics. But a lot of great ones. Absolutely amazing. But this next one, I think we have to bring somebody on. And to bring them on, I'd love to bring a video forth. I don't know if we can do that, Kyle.
Senator Brajas. You might know me from Helm Greycastle and La Voz de Mayo, but I'm here with a brand new story, Death to Pachuco. I'm working with Rachel Merle and Lee Lurich.
We have incredible covers by David Lapham, Katie Skelly, Marco Finnegan, and Ramon Villalobos.
See, this is a Chicano noir. It's based on a true crime story. During the summer of 1943, LA became a hotbed of tension and conflict as a series of fierce clashes between the US Navy and American youth that they called back then Pachucos and Pachucas. See, it all stemmed from the murder at the Sleepy Lagoon in East LA. LAPD used this as an excuse to round up 600 plus Mexican men and women, boys and girls, profiling them to find out who killed Jose Diaz. One of the parents of the unfortunate that were arrested hires a private investigator, Ricardo Ricky Tales. See, Ricky figures out who did it, but this happens in the midst of what we now know as the Zoot Suit riots, a 5-day clash between sailors and Pachucos. Without you, the voices in this event continue to stay invisible.
The first of 5 issues of Death to Pachuco debuted on Wednesday, October 8th.
See you in the funny papers.
All right, and with that, we have the man himself, Henry Barajas.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Dr. Nick.
How are you doing? I mean, Henry is a super talented man when it comes to the industry. I feel he's worked in every position, from retail to sales, writing, lettering. He's worked at IDW, Marvel, Top Cow, did Tatarambo, Helm Greycastle, does the incredible comic strip Gilthorpe. You just do everything in this industry. I mean, you're like the background.
Yeah, I've been in every compromising position in this industry. So
So
I appreciate you having me on to talk about Death to Pachuco.
Yeah, I mean, and this is an interesting book because, I mean, it does match some of what's going on in the real world right now. Was that something that you intended with the time, or is that just an unfortunate coincidence?
I think it's a little column A, little column B. I grew up I'm born and raised Tucson, Arizona, an hour away from the Mexican border, and I'm old enough to remember all the policies that President Clinton implemented. I know, researching about the books that I've written for the New York Department of Education about the Dolores Huerta and the migrant farm workers movement, how in the 1940s, there were people that were brought in from the south of the border to do the jobs that a lot of the Americans couldn't do because they were overseas fighting in World War II. And then they were quickly kicked out. And even before that, there was practices of deporting American citizens that looked brown, that did, by looking at them, you couldn't tell they were born here. So we're it's the tagline of the book is "Now is not a good time to be a Mexican," and it's meant to be something you can read at any point, and that's kind of the magic trick of making comics. You want to make something that's topical and now, but something you could pick up and read anytime and feel like it's relevant.
Yeah. I mean, it is unfortunate for it to still be relevant, but I think this has a lot of potential to really hit home for a lot of people and be a very important story. It reminds me of when HBO did the sequel to Watchmen, and they dealt with the Tulsa race riots back then, how that was eye-opening to so many people. And I feel this is a part of history that a lot of people are less familiar with. So how did you approach bringing that forward?
I think a lot of people like to make being a World War II buff their personality, and they don't like to talk about the more domestic impacts that happen. So I feel like this is something they can add to their repertoire. They can feel a little more rounded when they talk about this period of time. When I started this, this journey to make this comic, it was just really just out of fascination of what happened. I'm going on 10 years of living in Los Angeles, and I wanted to find a way to give back to that, and to explore some history that people know and don't know about, but also put it in like a medicine tablet that they can ingest through true crime and noir genre. So, yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky that I get to do these kinds of stories and work with Rachel Merrill and Lee Luridge and our editor Will Dennis. Phil Smith over at Top Cow has been very important to helping me put the book together, and also couldn't have done it without the Kickstarter backers that we were able to garner enough money to raise for the first issue, because Image Comics and indie comics from Image or Top Cow, you know, they're funded by the people making them, or they're doing free work and then they're getting their payments on the back end. So I know a lot of people see this as an Image comic and it's like mainstream or something, but it's really still an indie comic that is being made by, you know, gum and duct tape and strings and pocket lint to, like, you know, make sure we put out the best work possible. But I feel very lucky that I had a year to develop it, year to write it, and then we've been, you know, now we're, you know, well into almost finishing issue 3. Issue 2's in the can. So yeah, it's been, I feel very fortunate to be able to do what I do and tell the kind of stories I want to tell.
Yeah. Now, on the note of this story, I mean, obviously there is at least a fair amount of historical, you know, draw from this. How much of this is a historical piece and how much of it is fictional? Like, are you really pulling a lot from the reality of these events of the 1940s?
Yeah, I mean, we open up. I mean, anyone can read the first full issue in black and white on imagecomics.com and first issues tab. We're trying. I'm showing our cards here. Like, I really want people to know that we have a lot of faith in this. And I've seen digital numbers, and I know this book is going to be pirated one way or another. So you might as well get in front of it and say, hey, you can read. I want you to read this, and I want you to go to Nowhere Games and Comics and buy the physical edition, which I feel like that's what a lot of people say they read comics on anyway. But the backdrop of the historical information and the setting is really a lot of the, I mean, if you read the history of what happened, there was in 1942 there was a murder that happened at the Sleepy Lagoon, which caused a 600-person dragnet that just happened to be all Mexican men and women. They were looking for the murderer of Jose Diaz, who we changed the name out of respect to the you know, who anyone is, like any of the living relatives or people that were affected by this. So that's true. That happened. And we opened the book with a movie theater being ransacked by sailors. That actually happened in LA. There was a 5-day war between the Mexican community and the U.S. Navy that felt the need to clean up the streets, to inject their own kind of justice that they saw fit. Because back then, if you were a cop, that meant you couldn't go to war. So there wasn't a lot of respect or love for law enforcement. So they wanted to take matters into their own hands and caused a lot of grief for a lot of days. So a lot of it's true. The only thing that's fictional is the private investigator, Ricky Tellez. He's really inspired by the Philip Marlowe crime novels. Max Payne is a big inspiration to me. But also Stray Bullets. I mean, David Lapham has drawn us 2 covers. And I mean, if you look at it, there's a lot. You'll see a lot of Stray Bullets in it. And also there was one of the things about the murder case is there was about 17 men that were like 18 years old, you know, legal adults, kids basically, and a handful of girls. But all the guys got a lot of the press and the money and the legal assistance because they're facing death row and harsh prison sentences. So the girls were left to the wayside, and a lot of them remained wards of the state until they were 21 years old and had to live or spend a lot of time at the Ventura School for Girls, which is a horrible prison that was shut down. So in my story, the mother of one of the women that were, you know, that were sentenced, hires a private investigator to find the real Sleepy Lagoon murder, and he finds out who he is, but he finds out at the same time that the murderer starts the Zoot Suit riots. So he has to find this guy before the sailors do.
Yeah. I mean, and it's crazy. As somebody, even somebody of Hispanic heritage living, near or around LA, a lot of this is eye-opening to me. I mean, there's a particular moment in the first issue in Pasadena that is just jaw-dropping to see. And I mean, I think it is all the more intriguing because it is great when I get a comic where I open it up and read it, and the number one thing I want to do after I finish it, aside from rereading it, is go do research on it.
Yeah.
Is learn more. And I think that you've done that a number of times. Tata Rambo obviously was a wonderful case of that. But this definitely is the type of thing where I see this book being not only one that captures a lot of people's attention, but gets passed around. It's, you have to read this. You would never believe this stuff happened. You got to take a look. And the fact that there is not only a brilliant story in this, but historical truth is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know there was a Ku Klux Klan chapter in Pasadena, which I found out in the research I was doing, and some, my editor, Will Dennis, was like, hey, they should be chanting something here. But I wanted to like take that power from them by like making it intentional, that there is zero text or dialogue, no sound effects. It's a moment you have to kind of sit with and look at, but also they're not saying anything because I don't let them say anything.
Very well done choice too. And I mean, nevertheless, very powerful. So this is a 5-issue miniseries, correct?
Correct.
All right. And the first issue, which we are FOCing this Monday, is releasing, I believe, October 8th. October 8th. All right. So this will continue into early 2026.
Yes, it will. It's one of those things where you just don't like think about it, and then you're like, oh wow, I'm going to spend Christmas and New Year's working on this thing, which I can't really think of a better way to spend my time, to be honest. But your shop and you and your staff has always been so wonderful to me and has been so supportive of all the things I do, and I really look forward to coming to a date where I can come to the shop and do a signing, because that's the one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of comics live and die by comic shops. As much as you want to believe in the book market, as much as you want to support libraries, which I do tremendously, these books don't get to those spaces until the comic shops throw their weight behind it. So I've been spending a lot of time calling retailers and listening to what they have to say. There's a lot of issues they have with shipping costs and discounts, and you're looking at, I got the FOC email today. I mean, you got so many titles you got to look through, and there's just like so much speculation and news of just comics being canceled out of thin air for whatever reason. So it's a rough time for y'all. So I really appreciate you taking the time to like focus on this one, because there's so many good comics, as you have been outlining, that are coming out.
Absolutely. But I mean, all the more emphasis for all of you watching to reach out to your local comic shop to make sure your store is getting an order for Death to Pachuco. And if you're a retailer watching, I mean, I'm certain Henry has always been amazing in working with retailers. I'm sure you would love to, talk with more retailers, right?
Oh, I love talking to comic book retailers, and yeah, I mean, I've made a number of calls recently, and I'm going to keep making calls. And I'm very grateful. I live in Los Angeles, where there's an abundance of comic shops. I'm very lucky that I got to go and spend time at Comics Pro, and I've been calling people I've met there. So it's been forging new relationships and maintaining my current ones. So thank you everyone who's watching, and I hope you give this a chance, because at the end of the day, it's a crime noir. That's what I really wanted this to be. If you watch Chinatown, I mean, that's the political issue is water access. That is something that we're seeing today. you see all these noirs, and you don't think of it as a white noir. You think of it as a noir, and I hope that bleeds through in the writing and then the art.
Absolutely. Now, this amazing book that's on FOC this Monday is coming out in October. For people who want to keep track of not only this, but all the other amazing things you're doing in the industry, where can they track you down online, and where might they see you next after Death of Pachuco releases?
Well, they'll see me at their local comic shop, but I'm always on Instagram. I have a newsletter that you can sign up through Instagram or Blue Sky. But yeah, I mean, I think the newsletter is kind of the best way to kind of keep in touch. And they're at your shop. They'll find me there on October 8th.
Awesome. So make sure you check that out. Are you doing any conventions this year?
Yeah, so it was by design that we are launching the series during New York Comic Con. So we will be doing a signing at Anyone Comics that Wednesday. It drops with Alex Segura, and we will be tabling in New York, in Artist Alley at New York, and then I will be basically shipping Kickstarter rewards and hitting the pavement and driving to San Diego or whatever shop wants me.
Awesome. So you guys know where to track down Henry and find out more. And if you're a retailer, you can reach out as well. Thank you so much for coming and talking about Death to Pachuco. This is a phenomenal, as somebody who's read the first issue, this is a phenomenal book that will just drag you in. You need to grab it. Get your orders into your local comic shop ASAP.
Thank you, Mathias, and thank you everyone watching.
All right. Thank you so much, Henry. All right. Let's dive back into the rest of the amazing books on Lunar on FOC this week, because there's a lot. But take a moment. You got to look at all those brilliant covers to Death to Pachuco that are currently up on lunardistribution.com. We'll get that on screen right now. But a lot of amazing variants. I mean, that Ramon Villalobos, beyond phenomenal. One of these is definitely in the top 10. We have some great books. As always, make sure you go check out lunardistribution.com, see all of them, second printings, as well as second issue for Everything Dead and Dying.
If you missed Everything Dead and Dying 1, go order the second printing. If your shop is out, make sure. I was not expecting this book to hit me as hard as this book hit me. Like, I love Tate Bromwell. I love Jacob Phillips' art. The story and just the overall vibe of this book just had that Americana stab right to the heart in it that is the only way appropriate to really have this book go. So, again, if you missed number 1, go grab it from your local comic shop or order the second printing, and make sure you pick up number 2 at the same time. It's just that good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to see Fire and Ice finally back. There was a huge gap between issues 3 and 4. Obviously, part of that having to deal with the Diamond situation for Dynamite, but it is so exciting to see this classic piece brought back to life. I mean, everyone loves that film, so really, really great there.
TJ, not everybody's Torma. Not everybody's that crazy.
Well, I missed that fun there.
TJ says he can offer his cell phone number.
Again, I'm telling you, Henry offered his social security number on a panel one time I was on. It's crazy, man. We have some wonderful guests, but crazy people in this comic industry.
It's true.
Yeah. So spinning out of Fire and Ice, obviously we had to talk about Frank Frazetta and the Frank Frazetta Gallery series, featuring just a all-star list of creators, including Simon Bisley, Liam Sharp, Jim Zub, Bill Sienkiewicz, and more. This is a must-have for $55. There are multiple versions available. Definitely, if you're a Frazetta fan, if you're a Conan fan, Death Dealer or others, you should grab it. So many great books. I don't know if you've ever heard of the silent issue of G.I. Joe, Kyle.
Is that the one where it was all words and no art?
No. It's similar, but I think the dead opposite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but 300 issues ago of A Real American Hero, we had the infamous Larry Hama silent issue. And now for issue 321, we're bringing it back. And this time it's not just Snake Eyes, it's Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes 2, a.k.a. Don Marino. We had a whole month of energy of Skybound giving us silent issues to follow up. But this one has me most excited. I love the idea of the two Snake Eyes together.
I think we talked about this when it came out, right? That it was, in my opinion, doing a bunch of them diminished the interesting and greatness of the original, right?
Yes.
And now you have this one that if we had just not done anything until this issue, I think this issue hits a lot harder. Yeah. That said, introducing Snake Eyes 1 and 2 into a silent issue together like this is certainly going to be one of the more interesting G.I. Joe Real American Heroes of the last 20 years.
100% agree with you on that. And then with Chris Muniam doing the artwork, look at this amazing cover to give you an idea. Just everything about this cover holds my attention towards what I feel the interiors are going to look like. It is awesome. It's very Sean Gordon Murphy-esque, and I hate doing artist comparatives like that because I only mean it in the most positive way, but it's beautiful. Obviously, for those who were not around at the start of the show, you're going to want to go back and rewind after we're off live and hear Torma talk about High Strangeness. I am excited about this Men in Black story. This is going to be haunting and perfectly timed for Halloween season. A lot of great covers available there. It's a ratio, but I got to show off that 1 in 20. You're going to want to reach out to your local comic shop to see if they will be getting this and how much they'll be charging, but this is an awesome one. So a lot of great books. As always, make sure you check out lunardistribution.com to see all of the ones on FOC this Monday, September 15th. A lot of great continuing series, some wonderful collections like that $10 Rick and Morty, or the one-shot of Rick and Morty versus the Universe, Last Mort Standing, which does some stunning homages and acknowledgments. The next big one I got to talk about comes from Bad Idea. It is Matt Kent and Tomas Giorello's Save Now, about a person who has the ability to save a spot in time and reverse back to it. However, every time he reverses back, there's no fast forwarding or anything. This is not the butterfly effect with Ashton Kutcher. No, he has to live every second after that. And when the world is going to come to an apocalyptic end, he has to find a way to fix it. This is such a Matt Kent story. I am beyond excited for it. And Giorello's artwork has been phenomenal in everything he's ever touched. So this is a combo I cannot wait for. 4-issue miniseries from Bad Idea.
If this was real, 100% would sign up.
Yeah. Street Fighter is getting a one-shot by the legendary Jim Zub, focusing on Elena. So that will be a fun one. We're also getting a one-shot for Creep Show, everyone's favorite horror anthology called Super Creep Show. And look at these great homages. Oh, it's like the Creep Show returns.
Steggy was telling me a little bit about the story he's doing.
Ooh, interesting.
And I am very excited for this book. I can't say anything more than Steggy probably told me things he shouldn't have told me.
Yeah.
So take from that what you will, but buy this book.
Yeah, 3 amazingly talented writers on this in the way of Dan Waters, Ryan Stegman, and Ed Brisson. It's going to be fun because all three writers know how to write non-traditional superhero stories, and that's just what you're going to get.
And remember, it's Steggy and Riley Rossimo.
Yeah,
so
Stegman
like
and
they're
Riley.
buddies working together on a story in I don't have words to describe the reasons you should read that book.
Yeah. You know, it's always fun because I'm up in Canada at this moment while we're filming this, and in Calgary specifically, where Riley Rossmo is from, where he used to be a comic retailer here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fun stuff. Supergirl continuing on with a lot of excitement as people are ready for that, as well as the second Superman movie that James Gunn has been hinting at for a while. We get a second printing on Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. If you like horror anthologies, you likely know Ice Cream Man. It's the creative team of Ice Cream Man, W. Maxwell Prince, and Martin Morazzo doing Superman. If you missed it, second printing now available. along with the timing of issue 3's orders. Survive, which we had Robert Venditti talking a few weeks ago about. It is unbelievable. I'm hoping everybody picked up issue number 1 this week on stands, because damn if you aren't going to love it and want issue number 2 now. A lot of great ones. Just too many to talk about. Like, so many fun and awesome titles on FOC this week. A huge one, though. We just had Daniel Warren Johnson wrap up his 24-issue run of Transformers this Wednesday. Big issue. Wow, it was good. How can you follow that up? When you bring the man behind Walking Dead and Invincible to Transformers with interior artwork by Dan Mora. Transformers 25 is the start of the new arc, and it is going to be crazy. I am excited. A lot of great covers. This is really fun. We also have the final issue of David Marquez's Unchosen. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to put it out there. Charlie Adlard for Transformers. Let's see what it looks like when the Transformers try to eat each other.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Final issue of Unchosen by David Marquez. I have been loving this series. If you have not given it a shot, you are missing out. David writing and drawing it. It is brilliant.
Yeah, can we go back to Transformers, though? Like, you jumped over.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about
I know we're going to talk about it in a second, but I've been saying this since Transformers 1 hit. I missed it, right? I missed the re-release of Transformers because I wasn't a Transformers kid. But it was so good, and I've heard so many good things. We're finally getting to a point where this is a clean snap, right? Coming out of the Daniel Warren Johnson story, there were obviously different volumes where you could jump in. But for the first time ever, and this is where I'm excited, is I'm going to be able to jump in at the beginning of a writer telling a story in Transformers. So while I wait for the trades of all of the previous stuff to get caught up on what I've missed, I can jump in new with Kirkman here. And I think this is going to be a great jumping on point. If you're somebody who is like, yeah, I missed the boat on Transformers 2, and I don't want to jump in the middle, and I'm tired of waiting for the trade. Great, get number 25 and just start there.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who have been sticking on hard for the past 24 issues, don't worry, Daniel Warren Johnson has not left. He will be doing covers still. And then on top of that, I spoke with Robert Kirkman. He very specifically said, look, I'm not going to betray Daniel's setup. You know, Robert Kirkman, not a wrestling fan. I'm going to tell you, I know Kyle's going to be upset. He's not a wrestling fan, but he's like, I'm learning wrestling things. I had to Google what a suplex was so that way I could keep it in the style of the way Daniel set up the Transformers. So
it's true. The fact that he had to Google a suplex, though, like, I need to have a talk with him myself and be like, bruh. Really?
Yeah. But, yeah, so many fun things on this week's FOC. Don't forget to FOC Zdarsky Comic News from your comic shop, as it's going to focus on Marion Heretic, which I think is going to be a huge book. We had Teenie Howard on a few weeks ago, and now Chip has drawn her on the cover of ZCN. But with that said, I think we need to hop over and do the top 10 for Monday, September 15th FOC.
All right. Let me take myself off there and...
All right. So first off, the honorable mention we have to do is All Negro Comics. This was America's first black comic book, and it was made all by purely African-American creators about black characters. It was a masterpiece and historical part of American comic literature. And it was an impossible book to get. It was a very expensive book that very few people had. It was hard to get a hold of.
Well, then remember, this book ended because paper manufacturers refused to sell paper to the people making the comics.
Yes.
So not that many issues were created.
Yeah.
Not that many copies were made.
It is absolute tragedy. It really was. But what is not a tragedy is how the incredible Chris Robinson came together with a bunch of incredible people, including modern comic creators, to put together a collected edition that he kickstarted originally as a hardcover. It reprinted the entire original run of All Negro Comics, all of its stories and everything, and then added new stories by top African American comic creators, continuing adventures of this, adding essays and all sorts of other details. So I had the honor of being an Eisner judge when it was nominated. And me and the wonderful Joe Illich, who we've also had on here, really pushed for this book. Not only did we manage to get it nominated that year, thanks to the wonderful people who vote for the Eisners year after year, it won the Eisner Award, and it absolutely deserved it. But it still wasn't easily accessible. Thanks to Image Comics now, you can order a trade paperback of All Negro Comics, which is not only a very important piece of the history of comics, but an absolute must-read for comic fans. It is brilliant, and it can be yours at a very affordable price. So it had to be the big honorable mention if it didn't deserve to instantly be number one in the top 10. Now, moving into the top 10, we're going to start with One World Under Doom, the penultimate issue of this big Marvel event. Ben Harvey's beautiful cover of The Thing, doing what he does best, clobbering Doctor Doom. This book is only getting bigger and better as Doctor Doom takes on everyone. Then, Captain America. I had to give that Tron cover a top spot. I mean, I would have never thought Captain America would look this badass in Tron, but it's that red, white, and blue really works for Tron Ares. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the aftermarket values of the Tron Legacy Tron variants. These are going to be in high demand, and this one, I think, top tier.
It's too easy of a target if he lights up. I'm just saying.
It's like the yellow symbol on Batman's chest. It's there to draw it. Captain America is a target to protect others.
Good point.
Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, the deluxe edition. It has become a trend that we're now seeing the colored page ends. It's been very popular throughout Europe for years. We're now seeing it here, and I love these editions. I got a chance to handle this at San Diego Comic-Con. It is a really cool way. It has additional content from the original adaptation of the third prequel movie of Star Wars. And it's not a traditional thing you might see at comic shops, but now, thanks to Penguin Random House, your comic shop can order it if you let them know. So, could be a fun one. And I will say, Revenge of the Sith, the novel, does a better job than the movie of giving you reasoning for a lot of the characters' actions.
It's hard to not do a better job than the movie.
Iron and Frost. Look at that incredible cover by Brown. Emma holding the Iron Man armor or helmet. It's haunting. It wants to drag you in. Even Kyle, who is hating all of the approach of Marvel's AOR, tell me that doesn't intrigue you a little bit.
Why is there smoke coming out of his eyes? There are a bunch of other holes in the face that should be coming out of also, not just the eyes.
It's a question you'll have to open up to find out, and likely never get the answer to.
That's what I'm saying. But it's Ryan Brown, man. So it's gonna be a killer cover.
Yeah. In spot 6, I mean, come on, Andy Kubert, one of the legendary Kubert family, doing a G.I. Joe cover with both Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes Don Marino. Awesome. The silent issue alone with this concept was going to drag me in. That cover has it guaranteed, set aside waiting for me. David Nakayama on Transformers 25. I feel we both said a lot about this, but it nevertheless, definite top 5. Art Germ on Absolute Batman 13. I mean, not only this would be a big speculator issue, a high demand issue for art collectors, but Snyder has been nailing every issue of this with Dragotta. Absolute Batman, phenomenal seller that is shaping modern comics and comic shops with its sales. This is going to be a big one.
Yeah, again, not the one I would have chosen, but a very, very nice cover.
Yeah, I imagine you would have went after the David Nakayama, right?
No, we talked about it. It was hold on, I can tell you right now. Mine was the David Nakayama cover, huh?
I got it.
But also the Jenny Frison.
That was also beautiful. Yeah,
it would have been a toss-up. Here we go.
All right, this one is a huge one, and quite literally. Lone Wolf and Cub is finally getting recollected in a deluxe edition. For ages, we have been getting what I believe was called the Bonkoban format, the very small format collected edition from Dark Horse of Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima's masterpiece. If you have never read Lone Wolf and Cub, you have likely watched things that have stolen from it. Whether it was referenced in Kill Bill as Beatrix's favorite movie as Shogun Assassin, or it was the basis for The Mandalorian, Lone Wolf and Cub is one of the most legendary samurai stories and greatest mangas ever made. Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima are two of the greatest mangaka in existence. And while you can talk about people like Taite Kuo or Kishimoto, Akira Toriyama, or all others to no end, you can love Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece. Lone Wolf and Cub, in my opinion, is hands down the greatest manga ever made. This is finally getting a properly sized, faux leather-bound hardcover. And while I own this in a million different formats and 4 different languages, I am excited to repurchase this. This is going to be the edition to own. You need to get this. And if you've never read Lone Wolf and Cub, this is your moment to correct your life, because you need to read Lone Wolf and Cub, manga fan or not. Whew. Let's go to number 2.
You said all that. And yeah, everything he said is true, but also just read Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, Usagi Yojimbo always amazing too. Which Usagi Stan Sakai pulled in Kazuo Koike's Lone Wolf and Cub as the lone goat and kid.
Well, that's the joke, right? Is that Usagi and Lone Wolf and Cub are the same story, just one is a rabbit and one is good. So.
No, Usagi actually is a different samurai story, but he did have Lone Goat as Lone Wolf. Fun stuff. Obviously, we just talked to the incredible Henry Barajas. Honored to have him on the show for Death to Pachuco. But I got to talk about this one. Aside from just the amazing content we already discussed in the interview, this beautiful David Lapham cover. I love the silhouette of the corpse on the ground with the blood, but using that silhouette to actually integrate all of the characters of the comic in there. I mean, it is truly very Stray Bullets-esque David Lapham. Absolutely amazing. But number 1, and this is shocking. It's rare that I do a number 2. I don't do the start of a story arc as in anything in the top 10, but I feel this needs it. I cannot stress enough how much you need to read Court, how much everyone needs to read Court, how much you need to buy multiple copies of Court and walk around handing it out to get people into comics. Children of the Round Table is a phenomenal book. Issue number 1 was amazing. Issue number 2 is somehow honestly even better. And I love this Mathias Lewis cover that features all of our Children of the Round Table with their weapons. It's just brilliant. It really is. So lots of fun on FOC this week. Make sure you get your orders to your retailer. The sooner the better, before Monday, September 15th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that way everyone has time to get their orders in and finalized so you can have those books that you're looking for. Kyle, what else do we have on the EXP this week?
Well, we've got Nick's show tonight at 7. It's just a talk show. He's just telling stories. And then Nancy will be here at 9. And then next week is a full slate of shows here on the EXP. I don't think anybody is off. We are figuring out what we're going to do with the Geek Chat, but that might be fun because I might be a geek chatting. So we will see everybody next week here on the EXP.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Congratulations, Matthias.
Thank you. Yes, I am getting married tomorrow. Thank you.
Everybody wish him congratulations, or, you know, if your political affiliation goes the other way, warn him. All right.
Have a nice one, guys.